Hello everyone, this is Mehjabin Fatima, Commerce lecturer at Elevate High School and Junior College. Welcome back to my class. So today we are going to start 10th chapter of Commerce, that is Principles of Management. Every businessman desires to be a successful businessman. In order to achieve success in his business, he has to manage his business effectively. Managing the business is not an easy task, but support of his managerial personnel, these tasks can be accomplished so easily. Therefore, the responsibility of each individual employed in the organization is to adopt certain principles. These principles were contributed by Henry Fayol, which are presently applicable universally. This chapter focuses on the concept of management and its principles. So, it's the desire of every businessman to become a successful businessman effectively and efficiently. So, for that, the businessman has to have the skills and managerial abilities so that he can manage his business effectively, or he can accomplish his task very easily. Therefore, it is the responsibility of every individual employed in the organization to adopt certain principles, and these principles have been contributed by Henry Fayol, and these principles have been accepted by everyone universally. So, in this chapter we are going to learn about the management and its principles. Let's see what is the meaning and definition of management. An individual cannot satisfy all that he desires by himself. He unites all the persons in the society in a group to achieve what he could not achieve individually. An organization contains a group of persons working collectively for a common purpose. The management becomes essential when such kinds of goals are to be achieved effectively and efficiently. He cannot fulfill his desire individually. Why? Because if he wants to run a biggest organization, then he needs to have the employees with him. Otherwise, individually a single person cannot run a business. So, here an individual cannot satisfy all the desires by himself, we can say, and he has to unite all the persons in the society or a group where they want to achieve what a individual cannot achieve. And an organization can be described as a group of persons who are working collectively for the common purpose. So, no establishment can run without the support of the activity. Therefore, everybody will be managing their own affairs and nobody will be responsible when something goes wrong. Management is a universal phenomena. It is present in all walks of life. Management is not confined merely to a factory or office. Skillful management is needed in clubs, families, schools, sports teams and social functions like parties, picnics, marriages and so on. Lack of proper management invariably results in chaos, wastage of time, money and effort. Management, it is a universal phenomena, we can say, where it presents the walk of life. And management, it is not confined merely to factory or the office, but skillful management is needed in many other aspects or many other fields like clubs, families, school, sports team and social functions like parties, picnics, marriages, etc. And lack of proper management variably results in chaos and wastage of time, money and efforts. The management is needed in various activities. It has special significance in respect to business enterprise in the public and private sectors. So, actually the management has the specific significance or special significance, we can say, in respect to business enterprises in both the public sector and private sector. Let's see the definition given by Henry Fayol. So, according to Henry Fayol, management can be described as to manage is the forecast and to plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control. So, management is not the single term. In short, we can say it means to plan something, to organize something, to coordinate something or to command or to have a control. Let's see what are the characteristics of management. So, first one is it is an economic activity. So management is a part and parcel of every economic activity of man who struggles for better living in his existing society, the fate of which is rather molded by management under different aspects like planning, coordinating, controlling, etc. It is the sum total of those activities which pertain to laying down of certain plans, policies and purposes, securing men, money, material, methods, market and machinery needed for the achievement. So actually management is considered as the part and parcel of every economic activity, and the man who is struggling for the better living in his existing society, the fate of which is rather molded by management. Here the fate of that particular person can be molded by management under some different aspects like planning, coordinating, controlling, etc. The next characteristic is it gets things done through others. So actually it is its purpose that management gets the thing done through the other people. It does not perform the work itself but helps others to do. It coordinates individuals' action into a team. In any organization, a group of people is involved in a working towards a common objective. Whatever the management do, they have some purpose in it. Managers motivate people to get things done through them. So actually when we will see any organization, they will be having a team and collectively that team will be coordinated or managed by a particular person. To that they will call the manager, and that manager will coordinate all the people. He will plan, he will coordinate, he will command and he will control his team, and they will collectively work for a common goal and they will try to achieve that particular goal. So in any organization we can see management is the biggest part of the organization, where the team will be collectively working to get a common goal or to achieve a common goal. So management is nothing but it will get things done through the others. So it will not only develop the particular manager, but it will develop the other persons who are working under the management also. The next one is it is a creative activity. Management is a creative activity, purposefully activity, group activity, motivating activity, economic oriented activity, delegating activity and above all a decision making activity. So management, it's a different kind of activities we can say. The next one is it coordinates efforts. The management activity brings about a coordinated effort of many individuals and smaller groups whose activities are called operative, and such groups are usually known as human resource. So management, it's considered as the activity which will bring out the coordinated effort of many individual and a smaller groups, and their activity are called operative, and such groups are usually known as coordinate, and such groups are usually known as human resource. The next one, it is a process. Management is defined for conceptual, theoretical and analytical purposes, that process by which managers create, direct, maintain and purposive organizations through systematic coordinative human efforts. So management is considered as a process actually, and it is a conceptual, theoretical and analytical purpose, that process by the managers. Next one is management is a goal oriented. The purpose of management is to achieve common goal. As we have discussed earlier that a particular team will work to achieve the common goal. So in short, management is goal oriented we can say. So if the objective of the company is to maximize the profit, steps may be taken to reduce the cost of production or add a new line of product or replace the existing machine with an automated machine to provide maximum output, which results in attaining the aim of maximum profit. So it is a goal oriented where an organization will work together to achieve the certain goals. Now let's see what are the objectives of management. Management tries to achieve the goal which are the desired result of any activity, then must be derived from the basic purposes of the business. In any organization there are different objectives and management has to achieve the objectives in an effective and efficient manner. Objectives of any business entity can be classified into organizational objectives, social objectives and personal or individual objectives. So every time when we will see management, it always tries to achieve the goals which are desired result of any activity. And there are different types of objectives of management according to different organizations. So actually objectives of the business entity has been classified into three types, that is organizational objective, social objective and personal and individual objective of the management. Now let's see each of these objective of the management. So the first one is organizational objective. Management of a business is responsible for setting and achieving objectives for its success. It has to achieve a variety of objectives in all areas, considering the interest of all the stakeholders including shareholders, employees, customers and government. The main objective of any organization should be to utilize human and material resources to the maximum possible advantage, that is to fulfill the economic objective of the business. These are survival, profit and growth. So according to the organizational objectives of the management, the main objective of every organization should be to utilize all the human resources properly or in a systematic way to maximize the possible advantage, right, to fulfill the economic objective of the business. So these are the survival, profit and the growth. The next one is social objective. It involves the creation of benefit for society. As a part of society, every organization, whether it is a business or non-business, has a social obligation to fulfill. This refers to consistently creating economic value for various constituents of the society. This includes using environmental friendly methods of production, giving employment opportunities to the disadvantaged section of the society and providing basic amenities like schools and crutches to employees. So according to the social objective, it involves actually the creation and benefit for the society. So as a part of society, every organization, whether it is a business or non-business, it has to have a social obligation that must be fulfilled, and this will include the environmental friendly methods of production, giving the employment opportunities to the disadvantaged sections of the society and providing basic amenities like schools and crutches to the employees. Then last objective is personal objective. Organizations are made up of persons who have different personalities, backgrounds, experiences and objectives. They all become part of the organization to satisfy the diverse needs. These vary from financial needs such as competitive salaries and perks, social needs such as peer recognition and higher level needs such as personal growth and development. Management has to reconcile personal goals with organizational objectives for harmony in the organization. So here comes in the personal objectives. Organizations, they are made up of the persons who have the different personalities. So in every organization we can see that the persons, they are belonging to the different backgrounds, they does have different experiences and they does have different objectives, and they all are different personalities with each other. So they all become the part of the organization to satisfy the diverse needs, and these may vary in a financial needs such as competitive salaries and perks, social needs such as peer recognition and higher level needs such as personal growth and development. So management has to reconcile personal goals with organizational objective for the harmony of the particular organization. Now let's see what is the significance and importance of management. Science of management plays an important and crucial role in a changing and complex society. Whatever is the political philosophy structure of a society, it is well recognized that it is only sound management which can produce greater output with less efforts from a given complex of human, natural and material resources. The significance of management is understood with the following. So science of management will always play an important role or crucial role in the changing and complex society, we can say. So whatever will be the political philosophy or structure of a society, it is well recognized that it is only the sound management which can produce the greater output with less efforts. So let's understand the significance of management with the following. So the first one is society and social orders are changing very fast. Scientific development is bringing changes in technology, size of the industrial units and specialization, etc. So we can say that science and technology is becoming advanced day by day, or they are developing day by day, and due to that society and social orders, they are also changing very fast or rapidly, and scientific development is bringing out the changes in technology and the size of the industrial units and specialization, etc. So it helps in achieving group goals. Management assembles and organizes available resources for a accomplishment of the goal of an enterprise. It adds effectiveness to the efforts of a group of persons organized to achieve given objectives. So here this management will help in achieving group goals. So management will assemble and organize all the available resources and to accomplish the goal of the particular enterprise. So it will add the effectiveness to the efforts of the group of the persons who are organized to achieve the given objectives. Then management helps in improving the quality of the lives of people in the society by developing the human as well as non-human resource of production. Management ability is put to test when it helps organization to survive in the market under free cutthroat competition. Management has to face and solve numerous labor problems which arises almost every day in society and industrial organization. Management has to accomplish the objectives set forth in the beginning of any industrial organization. Management provides stability in the society by changing and modifying the resources or production in the fast changing economic and social environment. So these all are the importance and objectives of the management. Now let's proceed with levels of management. So actually there are 3 levels of management, that is top level management, middle level management and lower level management. So let's learn about each of these management. So let's see top level management first. So according to BFL Brecht, the functions of top level, which actually are board of directors, managing director. Now let's learn about top level management. So according to EFL Brecht, the functions of top level management, which actually are board of directors, managing directors, chief executive and general manager, establishes policies, plans and objectives. It needs more human skills, innovative decision making and conceptual clarity to compare the technical skills. So under this top level management, all the top personalities will come, like board of directors, managing directors, chief executives, etc. and they has to have more human skills, innovative decision making skills and they must have conceptual clarity, and their functions include fixing the objectives of the enterprise and protecting the interest of the enterprise as its trustees and evaluating the achievements of the enterprise. And then one more function is to select the chief executive, allocate the income and to discuss the complicated and serious matters. Let's see what is middle level. So middle level management bridges gap between top level management and lower level management. So actually middle level, it is the between platform of the top level management and lower level management. Departmental heads of various departments are finance manager, personnel manager, production or marketing manager, etc. So these all are the personalities who will come under the middle level management. Their main function is to implement the policies and programs formulated by top management for the execution and to render valuable services for the successful operation of their departments. Then next comes the lower level management. Lower level management consists of the superintendents, supervisors and foremen who are in touch with direct arrangement of the workers. Supervisors are those having authority to exercise independent judgment in hearing, discharging, disciplining, rewarding and taking other actions of a similar nature with respect to the employees. In offices they are known as supervisors and in factories as foremen. In the present age, supervisors have an important place in the management hierarchy and they are considered as friends, guides and well-wishers of the laborers. So these three are the top level management, middle level management and lower level management. So management has been classified into three types as we have discussed, and these were the three types of the management. Now let's proceed our topic with principles of management. So Henry Fayol is known for the general principle of management formulated by him in the 20th century. Fayol graduated in 1860 as a mining engineer, and Fayol, an engineer, industrial magnate, and was a successful chief executive with a long experience in the field of general administration and management. So, Henry Fayol, he was well known for the great principles of management, as we have discussed in the introduction part of our chapter, that there are certain principles of management which were given by Henry Fayol, and they all were accepted universally by everyone or by every business organization. So here this Fayol, he has graduated in the year 1860 as a mining engineer, and he was an engineer, industrial magnate, and was a successful chief executive with a long experience in the field of general administration and management. Fayol developed general theory of organization and administration applicable to all organization. He wrote, to manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, and to coordinate and to control. So the definition given by Fayol for the management is: to manage is to forecast, to plan, to coordinate, to command, to organize, and to control. This was the way in which he brought down the principles of management, which was not taught by earlier experts. So by this way, this Fayol has taught us about the principles of the management. Hence, he is called as the father of the management. So now Fayol is considered as the father of the management. Let's see some of his principles. So the first one is division of labor. Division of labor leads to specialization, which increases the efficiency of individual employees. Fayol recommended that work of all kinds must be subdivided and allocated to number of persons. Subdivision makes each task simpler and results in greater efficiency. So according to Fayol, the work has to be divided into the labors. So different labor will perform different activities so that they all can work together in order to achieve the common goal. And Fayol has recommended that work of all kinds must be subdivided and allocated to the number of members or number of persons, as these subdivisions will make the task very simpler and it will result in the greater efficiency. The next principle is parity of authority and responsibility. Authority refers to the rights of the superior to give orders to subordinate, take decision in specified matters, use resources of the organization, and guide and regulate the behavior of the subordinates. Responsibility, on the other hand, includes obligation with respect to performance of functions and achieving goals in the satisfactory manner. So according to Fayol, an authority should be given or a responsibility should be given to a particular person where he is superior to give the orders and to subordinate or to take the decisions on specific matters and to use out all the resources of the organization in a proper and efficient way, and to guide and regulate the behavior of his subordinates. The principle of parity suggests that there must be a parity between authority and responsibility. Giving authority without corresponding responsibility can lead to arbitrary and unmindful use of authority. Similarly, if a person is given some responsibility, he must also be given adequate authority. Lack of necessary authority makes the individual ineffective. So, according to the principle of parity, here Fayol suggested that there must be a parity between authority and the responsibility. So, if a person is given the responsibility, then he must be given the authority, unless and until he cannot work effectively or efficiently. So, it will be the unmindful. So, if any person is given the authority without the corresponding responsibility, then it can be led to arbitrary and unmindful use of authority. So, similarly, if a person is given responsibility without the authority, then that will be a wrong decision for the particular organization. So, both should be given properly. Both authority and responsibility can work together. The next principle is discipline. Discipline is the context of management which means obedience, proper conduct in relation to others, and complying with the rules and regulations of the organization. Smooth running of business requires discipline. Discipline is required not only by the part of the workers but also part of the management. It is facilitated if there are good supervisors at all level, rules are clear and penalties are imposed with fairness. So there should be a discipline in the organization in order to run an organization in an effective way. So here discipline is the main context of the management, which means obedience, proper conduct in relation with others, and complying rules and regulations of the organization. And smooth running of the business requires that discipline. So in short we can say discipline does not required only on the part of the workers, but it is the duty of the management also to have a discipline. So all the three types of management should be in a disciplined format, and they should have the rules which are very clear, and the penalties should be imposed on the employees in a fair way. The next principle is unity of command. The principle states that a subordinate should receive orders and be accountable to one and only one superior. No employee therefore should receive instructions from more than one person. The principle is necessary to avoid confusion and conflict. So actually if a person is listening to different persons at a time, then he cannot work properly, we can say. Therefore for every person and for every employee there must be only a single person who is attending them, or who is coordinating, or who is commanding, ordering them, and no other person should be involved in such matter, because it will not result in a effective, so that it cannot run the business effectively. So all the orders should be given by a particular person, and the employees should be accountable to only one person who is the superior to them. And thus we can say that this principle is very necessary to avoid confusion and conflict between the employees and the management. Then next principle is unity of direction. According to this principle, the efforts of all the members of the organization should be directed towards common goals. It is concerned with the working of the body corporate. A group of activity having the same objective must have one head or one plan. There should not be any deviation from plan prepared for achieving the objective of the firm. The principle seeks to ensure unity of action, coordinate of the strength, and focusing of the effort. So all the employees who are working in an organization must have the same direction where they want to achieve the common goal. So they must have the goal set in their mind. They must not deviate from their goal. There should be a unity actually, where they will go along with the unity to a particular direction where they are trying to achieve the common goal. The next principle is remuneration of personnel. To maintain the loyalty and support of workers, they must receive full and fair wage for services rendered. Remuneration should provide maximum possible satisfaction to employees and employer. They should put in their best efforts to improve productivity. The method of wage payment adopted must be satisfactory to the employers also. So a remuneration should be given to all the employees who are working in a particular organization. They should be given the fair wage, and they must be satisfied with the salary or wage whichever they are getting from the organization, or the method of wage payment must be adopted by each and every employee, and they must be satisfied with the way of payment, and the management should provide the maximum possible satisfaction to all the employees. The next principle is initiative. Initiative involves thinking and execution of a plan and ensuring its success. It gives zeal and energy to an organization. Fayol advised managers to allow employees to show initiative as much as possible. The freedom to propose a plan and to execute it is known as initiative. So here in short, Fayol advised the managers to give the initiative to the employees. Here every person is having different skill or different thinking. Everyone is talented in a different way. So all the employees should be given a freedom to improve their initiative, or to propose a plan, or to execute the plan. So every employee must be given the opportunity by the management to improve their skills or to show their skills, we can say. So here it will enable the employees to experience the keenest satisfaction from their jobs. Then last principle is aspirate the corps. It implies that union is strength which comes from the harmony of the personnel. It emphasizes the importance of the teamwork and group endeavors. There should be loyalty and concern for the honor of organization to which one belongs. This can be achieved through adoption of the principle of unity of command. The management should never adopt divide and rule policy. So here under aspirate the corps, the management should have the harmony and peace. So it implies to the union is strength, we can say. So harmony of the personnel should be there as it emphasizes the importance of the teamwork and the group endeavors. So there should be a loyalty and the concern for the honor organization to which a particular person will belong to, and management should never adopt the policy of divide and rule. Instead, it should always encourage the team spirit and teamwork. So this will ensure the smooth running of the so that it will ensure the smooth working of the business concern. So here we are done with our 10th chapter, that is principles of management. I hope you understood this chapter very well. Let's continue our next chapter in next class. Thank you.